Let me close with 5 quick applications of what we've seen about these two futures. Number 1, everyone you know, everyone sitting around you, next to you, everyone you'll ever meet will one day be either so bright that if you saw them with your natural eyes, you'd go blind, or they're going to be so horrible that you would turn from loathing from them. I say that because Jesus said, the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. You cannot look at the sun. You got to have new eyes to look at the sun, because you're all going to shine like the sun if you're children of God. And it also says, their worm does not die, and the fire is not quenched. That's horrible. That's a picture of maggots feeding on flesh, to which somebody's going to respond and say, you don't take that literally. To which I respond and say, what do you gain by not taking it literally? If it's literal, it's horrible. It's just horrible. Their worm does not die. If it's metaphorical, it's a metaphor of something horrible. That's why you use horrible metaphors. You don't use horrible metaphors to describe nice things. People think they're solving some problem when they say something's metaphorical. Metaphors are groping towards something awful enough to give people an idea what the reality's like. C.S. Lewis, some of you heard him in that sentence I said earlier. He said, there are no ordinary people. Just think about now that I'm saying this is an implication of what we've seen so far. You live not among any ordinary people because there are no such things as ordinary people. You joke with, this is Lewis, you work with, you snub, you marry, you exploit immortal horrors or everlasting splendors. So walk through your life stunned at every human being you passed. They're going to be an immortal horror someday, or they're going to be like a king or a queen someday. I don't live among any ordinary people. That's implication number 1. Number 2, this life is very short. James 4:14, you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist which appears for a little time and then vanishes. Or Psalm 103, as for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field. The wind passes over it and it is gone, and its place knows it no more. You're all young. I'm not. That makes sense to me. If you have a good imagination, it should make sense to you. Your first 18 years, just like that. And the next 60 will be just like that. Life is short. If you devote this short life to increasing your comforts and your security and helping others be very secure and very comfortable in this world, instead of having a serious thought about eternity and how you'd help people on to eternity, you're not only a fool, you're a loveless fool. Because love seeks its happiness in the greatest and longest happiness of the beloved, right? Right? Love seeks its happiness in the greatest and longest happiness of the beloved. That is the happiness in God, in an eternity that will be happy after this vapor's breath of this life. Our life has to count for that. It has to count for that. Whatever your vocation, nothing will make any sense in the Bible if you don't think that's important. So that's number 2 implication. Number 3, your life after this life is infinitely long and conscious. Infinitely, therefore, infinitely significant. A lot of us, Kevin underlined it when he said that I said, the news makes you stupid because it totally ignores the most important things in the world. That's true. And one of the things it does is make us think that presidents are significant and CEOs of big companies are significant, and athletes are significant, and movie stars are significant, and singers are significant. I just want to say, get a life. Get a life. This is what Jesus says to us. They will see his face, God's face. His name will be on their foreheads. Night will be no more. They will need no light or lamp or sun, for the Lord God will be their light, and they will reign forever and ever. You think Putin's reign for 20 years or so, or Trump's second term, or some singer that makes billions of people rich or happy or follow her is significant? That's significant. You're one day going to reign, you're going to reign with Jesus Christ forever. In other words, implication number 3, eternity is long and therefore significant, and it's significant because you're going to be amazing in it. Number 4, this short life on earth determines how we will spend our everlasting future. You can waste it by following blind, famous people who make millions of dollars and don't know their right hand from their left. Or you can lay up treasures in heaven and pour out your life for the temporal and eternal good of other people. Paul said, do not lose heart. Though your outer nature is wasting away, your inner self is being renewed day by day. I love this text. It's especially relevant for old people, outer nature wasting away. But you're going to peak out here in about 10 years, okay? And it's all downhill from there, physically speaking. Though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction, and he means 80 years or so, light and momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. If you don't waste your life, but pour it out through Christ by faith into others who need him, then you will have spent your life well, and there will be for you a weight of glory beyond all comparison. Finally, number 5. And here's where we're drawing the whole conference to a close, and I'm going to ask a certain group of people to stand in just a moment. One of the most significant ways not to waste your vapor life is for the next 60 years or so to seek your happiness. I'm very conscious that that's a controversial thing to say. I'm not saying deny yourself, though that's absolutely true, because you can find yourself happy in things that the world thinks are crazy. The most significant thing you can do not to waste your vapor life is to spend the next 60 years seeking your happiness in helping others be eternally happy in God, even if it costs you your life. which it might. Now, let me make a few clarifications before I call for you to stand. This is a missions conference, but please don't think that we expect everyone to say, I am called by God to cross a culture, learn a language, plant a church. You cannot read the New Testament and believe that that's God's will for everybody in the church. Otherwise, when Paul wrote the book of Romans, he wouldn't have said, send me on my way to Spain. He said, I'm taking all of you with me. So don't hear us saying that in summoning some to cross-cultural, vocational, gospel, missionary service, we are consigning the rest of you to second-class Christian citizenship. That's not true. You can be a God-centered, Christ-exalting, people-loving sender. There are three kinds of Christians. One, goers. Two, senders. Three, disobedient. That's the only kind there are. Goers, senders, disobedient. So, if you don't find yourself in the goer category by God's work in your life, you must, and it is a call on your life, to be engaged in your church, to be an active supporter, sender, lover of missionaries. You can live a life, and you ought to live a life, to magnify the worth of Jesus by the way you study, the way you marry, the way you raise a family, the way you run a business, the way you do your job, the way you build relationships, the way you enjoy food, the way you enjoy God's good gifts, the way you love your neighbor, and the way you serve your church.